Thank you for participating in our parent engagement session. As we talked on our last session, we talked about collaborative partnerships. We highlighted it. And now I am going to go into it a little further and talk about some of those other parent engagement strategies that you can do. We highlighted parent collaborative partnerships, but I want to give you more insight of what that could be. So collaborative partnerships are between parents, schools, and community groups, and are all about learning, teaming up to boost student learning. It's all about the student, and that's the thing that's most important. It's about their growth and it's about their well-being. And so by combining the unique strengths and resources of everyone involved, the partnership will help to create a more supportive and well-rounded educational experience. And so that is what collaborative partnerships is. And that is one of the strategies that we emphasized in our last session. And so some of the key characteristics of effective partnerships is that you have a shared goal for the student's success, that the school, the parent, the community organizations align with the same goal that will promote academic success, achievement, and social emotional growth. So everyone have the same goal. Another characteristic of an effective partnership and how you know that it is effective is that there's parent empowerment and parent leadership. The parents are actively involved in the decision making with that school, with that organization. So they're co-leading with school initiatives. Instead of being told what to do, they're deciding what can we do together. I know that's a great model. And I know that that's something that you can do in your communities and your schools. Another is having community resources and knowing that you're a resource to the community. And so if a person comes to the school, then what other resources can you have for the parent other than all these negative things that they get at the school of what was wrong with their child? But what are some of the positive things that are in the school that they're able to gather from the school for them to be a great parent? And when they're a great parent and they feel good about themselves, then they are able to be able to push their student success, their student growth, their student well-being. Another key characteristic of effective partnerships is two-way communication. So can the parent call the school and communicate about what they're observing, what they're seeing, and what some possibilities are for change? Is there a feedback loop where you're able to share, the parent are able to share, but also the executives and those who are at the school can share with the parents? So there's a two-way communication instead of a one-way communication. And we can assist with that in some of the strategies that we may implement. Also, do we have some characteristics of effective partnership would be culturally responsive practices where the school is integrating and practicing cultural backgrounds and ensuring that there are engagement strategies and inclusive and equitable strategies. That just means that, you are helping people to participate at the level that they can participate, being equitable with that, being equitable with their understanding of how to be a part. And then shared leadership. So are there partners, community or shared responsibility? Are there partners, all the community partners like the schools, the families, the communities, they share accountability to the life of the children, the life of the school, the life of the family together, and they're contributing in a positive way. So we want to make sure that we're able to do that. These are some examples of collaborative engagement initiatives. Does that organization or school have a family resource center where the school partners with local organizations to offer resources like parenting workshops, like job training and health services? Like I mentioned before, can the parent come to the school as a resource for what they need? Is there a mentorship program? These are ways or examples of some collaborative engagement initiatives where there's a community leaders volunteer to mentor the students, to mentor the parents, but providing academic and support and career guidance. Is there a parent teacher? There's another thing that you can do. These are all examples. Parent teacher action team, where the parents and the teachers, they co-lead initiatives together to improve the school climate and the student engagement. And then are there cultural events and celebrations? All of these are examples, just a few. So the schools will collaborate with the community group to celebrate diversity in their community and with their school. Then there's a strength-based approach that we talked about that I highlighted before. And so a strength-based approach says it focuses on the family strengths, like I shared before. It identifies and it builds upon the unique strengths, talents, and resources of the family. They celebrate cultural diversity by acknowledging and integrating the family's cultural backgrounds and traditions in activities. There's collaborative goal setting where they work with the families, where you'll work with the families to set shared goals that align with their values and their priorities. There's empowerment through support, meaning that resources and tools are provided that will assist and empower the families instead of talking down or being down, but empower the families in order to take an active role in their own help, in their own assistance, their own decision making, their own problem solving, about empowering them through support tools and support conversations. There's positive communication, meaning we use language and interactions that highlight the family's successes and reinforces their potential. Again, not talking down, but talking up. And there's shared leadership opportunities where we involve the parents in leadership roles, such as advisory committees or co-facilitating an event. And these approaches will help in schools and with family engagement. Listed here are some strength-based approaches, as I mentioned earlier or on our last session, where the strength-based approach says there is some tailored engagement where you will customize the approaches to fit the individual strengths and needs of each family. It won't be cookie cutter, but it will be exactly what that family needs based on you having a conversation with them and assessing their needs. There's going to be strength-based feedback where you provide feedback that focuses on the progress, the efforts, and the accomplishments rather than the deficits. You will notice that I'm kind of saying the same thing more than once because we want to have a strength-based positive approach when we're engaging families. We do this strength-based approach by building trust and respect, where we want to foster relationships through consistent and respectful and transparent communication. We have, capacity building workshops, which offer sessions to strengthen the family's skills in areas that they may have weaknesses in. So like advocacy and parenting and, other educational support. Recognition and of contributions. So, have a policy or have some ways that you can acknowledge and celebrate families, their contributions to the community, their contributions to the school and the environment, and to their child's behavior and their child's development. So celebrate that. Recognize their contributions and then create a safe space. Establish an environment where the families feel welcome. And that's simply by saying, hello, how are you doing today? And not saying, oh my God, here she is today, but creating a safe space that whoever is at the door Who's ever at the front, you need to make sure that that person is the person that they will want to hug. Not saying that you have to hug people, but I'm saying that it makes you feel like it, where they feel safe, and you create that safe space for individuals. And then behavior modeling, as I mentioned earlier in that last session, where behavior modeling says that you're creating collaborative partnerships, you foster open communication as well, and you have regular feedback for the parents and flexible and accessible programming. So let's go back with behavior modeling. This is where you model respectful communication and you demonstrate to the child how to resolve conflict peacefully. And you do that in front of the parent, which is a positive tool that reinforces, the tendency, the human behavior, the human tendency to learn from observing others. And as I was saying, collaborative partnerships is by building trust. We do that by fostering open communication, regular feedback from the parents, and flexible and accessible programming. Can I get to it? Can I come over to it? Can I can I get to the person that I need to get to? And then as I finish this and I close this, I would love for you to take a moment on your own to do these reflective questions for yourself. As it relates to youth engagement, reflect for yourselves. How can you build an authentic relationship with youth that encourage open communication and trust? What methods can you use to understand the unique needs and strengths of the youth you work with? What activities or strategies have you found effective in maintaining long-term engagement with youth? And how can you create opportunities for you to take on leadership roles in their programming? I would say that you should do that with your after this, reflect on these questions. I have more for you. Reflect on the family engagement. How do you establish trust and rapport with families from diverse backgrounds? Reflect on that. How do you ensure engagement strategies are culturally responsive and inclusive? How can you work collaboratively with families to set shared goals for their children's success? And then how do you identify and leverage your strengths within families to support sustained change? This is all for you to reflect on after viewing this video. And then in regards to sustained change, what does sustained change to look like for the youth and families that you serve? This is your question, your action. How can you foster partnerships between youth, families, and community organizations to sustain that change? What common barriers to sustain engagement and change have you encountered? You write that down. You think about that for yourself. And how do you evaluate the effectiveness of your engagement strategies in promoting sustained change? I thank you for participating in and viewing this session. And I ask that you will reflect the previous reflection that I have, engage with the community. And there is a fact sheet that goes along with this that I ask that you take a look at and follow up on it as you are looking at some of those strategies that we just shared with you today. Thank you very much.